Got the levels? Everybody, you hear me?
Check.
Check one.
Check two. Check two.
Check.
Sibilance. Check.
Sibilance.
Check.
Hey. Johnny Quest thinks we're sellouts and everything is overrated. Check 1, 2.
Check. Yep.
Well, hello and welcome to Idiots with Instruments, the show that follows the band Red Hot Rebellion as we write and record new music and interview industry music pros in an effort to teach these old dogs new tricks. I am Jim Tramontana, bassist and lead vocalist of Red Hot Rebellion.
Hey, I'm Doug. I play guitar.
I'm Andres. I play the drums and I sing occasionally.
It's pretty badass, isn't it? So, welcome. What do you think?
Thanks.
We're gonna feel like doing a little interview?
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's run it right now. Joining us today is Chris ALBRIGHT, licensing and supervision dude at AudioSocket. AudioSocket is a music licensing company that gives media creators a way to quickly discover and license music. Before working at AudioSocket, Chris worked for the infamous record label Victory Records as a music licensing and publishing specialist. He has a deep knowledge of the dark arts of placing music in media and has experience in all aspects of music publishing and licensing. He's also a super nice fella. Chris, welcome to Idiots with Instruments.
My goodness, what an intro. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad to be here.
You are welcome, sir. Thanks for taking the time to chat with us. So I guess to start out with, since I mentioned AudioSocket, for those who are unfamiliar, can you kind of give us a little brief explanation of what is AudioSocket and what do you do?
Yeah, of course. So AudioSocket's it's a music licensing agency or company. We've been around for about 10 years now. So we've got this really nice niche where we work with emerging independent artists, bands, and composers, and we represent their music and place it in everything from broadcast advertising to online advertising, just brand YouTube videos, TV shows, film trailers, films, video games. What else is going on these days? Apps, game apps.
Wow.
Basically anything that needs music, we are there to provide affordable and quality music for those projects.
That is cool. So is your job, so you're kind of like an ad hoc music supervisor for different projects, or what is your...
Yeah. So I'm basically, I'm a salesman but I get to rep an incredible product, which is music. So, it's not like being a door-to-door salesman or here's some sort of toilet seat for you to buy that's going to be incredible. I don't know why I'm on that Twitter, but anyways. But yeah, so I get to. So we've got tons and tons of awesome music, really incredible bands. We have this great niche where, we're not the more generic sound of, say, a stock music company that's only working with composers, but we also have great talent. So if, let's say, someone needs a famous artist track, let's say they wanted a Beyonce song or something like that, but of course they don't have millions of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, we present artists that would have similar styles. Or a main one that still always comes up is Black Keys. So we've got plenty of swaggery blues rock for those people. That is a sound that will never die.
Nice.
So
good to know. And I guess full disclosure, Red Hot Rebellion is a member of the AudioSocket family. So and we're a proud member. And you guys have licensed a good portion of our music, and we love you for that. I've also done my fair share of plugging myself, so I know it can be a slog, but I guess with such a diverse and varied catalog, do you find that you can almost always find something that a client's looking for? And and I guess the flip side of that is how much of your job is pitching versus getting briefs from people and trying to fulfill their needs?
It's a lot of finding new contacts and new supervisors or producers or creatives at ad agencies. a lot of just digging around, which I love doing. Makes the job interesting every day. But I'm also getting briefs every morning or throughout the day of just, I mean, it's everything under the sun. I mean, that's why I love working for Audio Socket. Yesterday, I had a brief that needed electronic music, but it needed to have an Indian or India flair to it. And I was like, I don't know if we've got anything like that. But sure enough, I discovered a couple tracks in our catalog. I'm like, this is why I love working here. It'll be like the most random things like that, and voila, it appears.
That's
so
crazy.
It's really, really cool.
How do you go about finding that?
How do I find that? As far as adding them to a roster, or just what we already have on our roster?
Yeah, like, I would imagine you would have to tag the samples somehow, or like the songs somehow, that would make it easier to find. But that sounds interesting that you're able to find that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally. So we there is a ridiculously elaborate, intricate search engine that is all searchable via our website. So I do searches on my own, but also anyone who needs to license music can set up a account on our website.
Okay.
And you can search by genre, by mood, by tempo, themes. If you need a guitar, if you want some more worldly instrumentation, I mean, that's all available. You can type in a famous artist, and our artists that we represent that have a similar sound will pop up for you. So it's I remember when I first started 3 years ago, I was like, oh my gosh, there's so much music here. How the heck am I ever going to like find anything?
Right. Yeah.
But luckily, I work with some incredible people. We have someone that tags everything and is always updating all of those keywords. So if people search it, or as new artists or new trends, genre trends pop up, we're re-tagging them or adding them to already existing tracks that are on the roster. So that will help people out, because as you know, there's always the new hot stuff that's coming out every month that you got to make sure that's like, okay, now we've switched over to this artist that's being name dropped all the time. So we better start tagging our stuff appropriately.
Yeah, and that's something I couldn't remember is like if we're the ones who put the metadata in, or if it's like you guys. And I think that was one of the neat things that I found is like that you have people there that listen to this stuff and actually categorize it, right? And like figure out the feel and then the tags and stuff. So it's like, as an indie artist, you kind of have like your own licensing team on Audio Socket side working for you. And then the way you guys make money is obviously a licensing fee from the customer licensing the music, but there's also a royalty split on the publishing side. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, we do that as well for anything that's royalty bearing, like TV commercials or broadcast ads for films.
Yeah, and and it's still kind of the Wild West, right? With some of the like the new media stuff, like the web, like you don't get performance royalties for that, but on a commercial you would, and on a movie you wouldn't. That's always been confusing to me.
So for movies, you do if it starts streaming on, like it can be if it's on TV, or if like Netflix and things like that, they pay out royalties as well. So they've come around and added all that stuff in there. But yes, I mean every year it's something new that's popping up that you have to kind of figure out. But yeah, as far as like YouTube videos and things that are online, there's no royalties, unfortunately, in any of those type of placements.
And then, so who would be like I know you said it's anybody who wants music, but like who would you say like are your main clients coming to you like in search for music? Is it more like low budget media producers, or is it kind of all over the place? Like,
yeah, I mean it's a little bit of everything. I work with producers and editors at production companies or ad agencies. I get a lot of briefs from them, and I've worked on TV commercials. Play stuff from our roster as well on that. I've got music supervisors across the board from MTV to NBC to more just kind of freelance supervisors that work kind of dabble in all different types of shows, whether that's on cable or broadcast, or obviously now a lot of Netflix and Hulu shows as well.
Yeah.
So I mean budgets they're all over the board. I mean it's crazy. I feel like, unfortunately, budgets keep getting slashed just with the nature of things where, people are, it's always kind of the last thing. So a lot of my job does entail, especially when working with projects with like ad agencies or just first time users, is, you create a budget, and unfortunately music a lot of times is the last thing they think about. Right. So if they actually have money, it's like, oh my goodness, you actually budgeted for this. But a lot of it is like, whoops. Well, are we going to get the fancy food cart to make sure we feed all while we're shooting this, or do we put it towards music? So It's just always kind of like, yeah, it's always a battle. But I like doing it, and it's nice to just to rep. I've always been lucky and fortunate to work with mostly independent and emerging bands, and I love working for them and going to battle with them, because it's hard out there to be in a band these days, as I know you guys know. Yes. So it's just, if I can find some revenue for you, I want to make sure you get the most money you possibly can.
Awesome. We love that.
Yeah, that's excellent. We really do.
I
mean, for you guys, I always ask for $500,000, but it doesn't happen.
It hasn't worked out
Sorry,
yet.
I'm trying.
Well, you got to start somewhere, right? We appreciate that. Yeah, it's funny that. So just like, I don't know, you're like the third. You're the linchpin of our trifecta on music supervising. We talked to a freelance music supervisor, and then we talked to a gent who's a VP and a giant advertising firm, and then but you're our favorite so far, because it sounds like you're more of an advocate for indie artists.
For the bands themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I know most of your guys doing this podcast is to help artists and bands. So I always encourage to kind of rep our stuff, is that, I mean, if any of them want to audition and start having their music considered for these type of projects, we have a artist audition process. If you go to artist.audiosocket.com, you upload 4 songs and kind of put a little bio about whatever your music sounds like, whether that's an artist or genres. And we've got a whole A&R team that is awesome, that goes through all of these auditions, and then we'll check it out and see if it's relevant for us to start repping. So that's awesome. Highly encourage that for people.
We'll put a link in the show notes for all of you. It's that's pretty amazing. And you kind of read my mind, because I was going to be like, hey Chris, how can people send you music? So you must be good at your job, because you can read minds.
We're always looking, and I mean, that's what I love about the job too. It's not only am I getting new briefs and music searches every day, but every day or every week at least, depending on what's going on, we're getting new music in. So I mean, I'm just a massive music fan, obviously. So it's always cool to hear new stuff coming in, and I get excited, because then it's just more fuel for my fire to pitch to people. So it's cool.
And do you work on like a commission, or are you just like a straight salary man, or how does that work?
Salary and both. Oh, okay. And commission as well. So
okay, so you get got an extra incentive to push this stuff.
Heck yeah, that's why it's $500,000 for you guys, man. I want to cut of that dang pie.
Dang right. And so as far as like auditioning music for you guys, what can artists do in general, bands and musicians, to make their music more licensable? Do you see trends? Should they be tracing trends? Should they stay more like just do it and hope that it sticks? Or like what do you think, in your learned opinion?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I always, you can tell if someone's trying to specifically write for TV, film, or ads. So I just always say, stick with what you do well. Obviously have it recorded really well, which used to be more of a problem back in the day when I first started, but nowadays I feel like everyone's pretty good at recording things. And then the big thing is always, if you have vocals on your tracks, bounce out instrumental versions.
Yes.
It takes 2 seconds. It drives me nuts when, even as like someone who is producing or recording an album, how an engineer doesn't just do that automatically to this day just blows my mind. So it just opens up the opportunities to so many more opportunities, because a lot of times they don't want a vocal.
Correct.
It's not that we don't like, and it's not that we don't like your singing. It's just that a lot of projects don't want any vocals, so you're just losing out on those opportunities.
Yeah, and that's like the first, like, because a lot of people over the years have asked me, like, licensing advice, because when Red Hot Rebellion, because I started plugging for us, and then my other bands, and then I started working for a record label a little bit, and I was shocked at how many bands that that didn't have instrumentals, and I was like, number one, get instrumentals. Number one, get instrumentals. So it's great to hear you say that, because it finally justifies all the pain in the asses I threw at people earlier.
No, and that's what's awesome. Like, that's why I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured that, because you guys, we have all your instrumentals too up there to rep. So I'm just like, you guys must have known something. So thank goodness. Holy cow! Like, there's just so many things where I'm just like, and the other thing too, I would highly recommend is, if you are swearing, I always recommend doing a clean version as well, so that TV can be pitched to, because obviously if there's any swearing, not that I'm a prude, but the networks are, and they will not put it in their TV show. Yeah, so.
FCC, that goddamn FCC. See, in podcasts, we don't care. We can curse all day long. But okay, so
it's like there's
literally anything.
So, if you could tell me a little bit about Revel Revival. I see that you're you're the main guy for that. So what is that, and how does that take up part of your daily activities?
Yeah, so I started a little over 3 years ago, and they brought me on to head up an exclusive catalog. So these are artists that we had that did very well on our site and through our pitches externally as well, through our reps, that we wanted to say, hey, would you consider going exclusive with us? So their music is not available anywhere else on any other competitors' sites or things like that. So basically, so if you're just a regular, I should have stated that too, if you're auditioning, it's all non-exclusive deals for the most part, except the Revel Revival roster that we started up. So it's a select group. I think we've got about 20 on there at the moment. But yeah, it was some of our highest earners that we just, we figured, hey, we're going to rep you and push you even more, and you're considered in a lot more opportunities and things of that nature, just to benefit both of us, so that there's times where, it's come up in the past where, obviously, I mean, I understand being non-exclusive, to work with other companies, just to kind of get your music out there to as many opportunities as possible. But there's been points where, people are on a couple different sites, and there's been a little friction with who gets to license the song, what company did it come from? So it can always kind of be a little confusing sometimes, but it doesn't happen too often. But yeah, so the Revel Revival, it was the exclusive roster that we put together, and I was brought on to really push that, especially in the TV world. So had done a lot of great stuff with that. Had a really cool placement for one of the artists we have named Leo Islow out of Portland. He was in the premiere of Cloak and Dagger, which was a new Marvel TV show.
Yeah, cool.
This summer, so that was a really cool placement. It was like one of the first songs in the very premiere episode, so it was really cool. He was jacked up, so I loved it.
And then, so awesome. The benefit for artists going exclusive with you is they get extra pushing and extra, like they get featured.
There's features. You get the royalty statements every month, and things like that. Gotcha. So,
do they get a higher percentage of the licensing fee as well, or?
No, it's still the same. Yeah,
okay.
It's still the same. Yeah.
But they get beneficial treatment, basically.
Exactly. They're getting monthly updates on what we're pitching, things like that. Yeah.
So okay, cool. And I'm hearing a little bit of a Chicago accent there, Chris. Are you originally from Chicago?
Yes, I finally moved to. I know. I'm Midwest. I'm Midwest. Everyone's always like, "Oh, you're so nice," and it's just that Midwest. I just try. My parents did a great job raising me.
Yeah, Anders is from Wisconsin. It's awful.
It's awful. The people, you're so nice. I'm like, well, I don't want to be an asshole because I don't like those type of people. I don't want to work with assholes, so why would I be an asshole?
Yeah.
Anders is so Midwestern, he's almost Canadian. He's from Wisconsin. So.
I'm actually just from the Milwaukee area,
Oh, nice.
Relatively close to where you grew up.
Yeah, I was there up until last year. My wife and I moved out to the Seattle area, so we loved it out in Chicago, but we needed mountains and nature and things of that nature.
Yeah.
So, but it's been we love it out here, and since Audio Socket is located out here, it all made sense.
It made sense.
So,
Yeah,
that's perfect.
yes,
and you in Chicago, you worked for Victory Records as well, right?
I did. Yes.
And then, how is that job different than what you're doing today in Audio Socket?
So for them, as a label, there's just a lot more press and kind of a higher name recognition for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing that Victory and Tony in particular, the owner, who's very notorious, he did was he was doing 360 deals before they got famous. Now
Right.
people are always trying to do it because it's an easy one-stop. They controlled not only the master for the label side, but they also had their own publishing company in-house. So everything was one stop there, which was amazing. Like, that's all I've worked with. I've been doing this for 12 years now, and I've always only had one stop. And honestly, I don't know how I would be able to rep something that wasn't all controlled, could be cleared super easy.
Right.
We control, both sides, the sync or publishing side as well as the master, so that things can just be done, because jobs need to be signed off within an hour or so, so
Right.
I need to be able to have that capability to do it. So it was fun. I met so many awesome people that are still some of my best friends over there, and they still release a ton of music that I love. And I loved working there. So it was fun, I think, but as you know, that label only has a specific style of music. So it definitely, limited itself in the opportunities and stuff. So I think when this opportunity at Audio Socket popped up, it was like, oh my gosh, I've got everything basically in my hands. So I was really excited to make the transition over to here. So.
And did they headhunt you, or did it just kind of come up and you were like, oh, this is the perfect job for me, I got to go for this? Or how did it?
Yeah. It kind of just popped up. I saw it, so I applied, and it was, really nice. But yeah, I loved Victory. Was fun. It was great. The office was awesome. And yeah, just so many cool bands that I did a lot of video game stuff over there, which was fun as hell.
Cool.
Did a lot of work with Ubisoft and stuff like that. So it was cool.
Oh, that's awesome. What did you do before you got involved with Victory?
I went to Columbia College in Chicago, and growing up in high school, my friends would always make these ridiculous war films or crazy films, and I would take VCRs and dub in music. I'd be throwing stuff in like Fugazi and Chet Baker and like all this random stuff, because they'd be like, oh, just put something in there. So it's like total old school before, having all the computer equipment that's so easy to do nowadays. Yeah. So I would do that, not really realizing that was like anything or even a career you could go into. And then at Columbia, I took a music supervision class, and they had a record label, local record label, not Victory, a different one, come in and speak and say there was this music licensing company out of Chicago that pitched their music for stuff. And I was like, oh man, that sounds like an awesome job and something I'd love to do. And so right out of college, I interned. They hired me on. It was called Uncommon Tracks. And from there, I worked there for about 3 or 4 years. And then worked for a smaller one called Rev 9 that did the same thing as Audio Socket and them, just kind of a third-party music licensing agency that worked with emerging bands. And from there, I jumped into Victory, and from Victory, Audio Socket. Wow. So it's always been publishing, either pitching for Victory or, these third-party licensing companies that work with emerging talents. So it's been cool. And they've all been one stop, like I said, which has been great.
That's
instead of
crazy.
having to be like, I got to call up the publisher, and there could be 5 or 6 writers on it. Like, I don't know how, when they're going to get back to me, if they get back to me. So it's
I
holy cow, stress.
I attribute like all of our successes with licensing being a one-stop shop, and that was specifically was from our mentor Ben Hochstein, who told me, he's like, if you can do stuff one stop, music supervisors love that because they don't have to go around to 15 different publishers and find this and that and get it because you got to flip that stuff fast.
Yeah.
So that's neat.
Ben's a good dude. He's a good mentor to tell you that stuff. I've worked with him over the years. He's one of the good ones for sure. He's awesome.
Nice. We need to have a big idiots with instruments party and get all you weirdos together and have you like tell war stories. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
We'll call it Weirdo Fest 2019. I can't wait.
That's right. Weirdo Fest.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We'll get everybody that we've talked to so far, and
we talked to Snow for crying out loud, the Informer guy. So
I was looking at your past episodes. I was like, no, that's not the Snow. And I'm like, and I started listening to it. I was like, holy cow, nice work.
Yeah, that was fun. He's nuts.
Yeah.
He's our best friend now. So yeah, we're
that dude is awesome.
That's sweet.
Oh, man.
So I guess it's time for my pizza question. But you're from Chicago, so I don't know if I can even ask you this. But
you should ask about. You should do Chicago style.
Okay, yeah. Where's the best? Okay, I'm a big fan of Gino's East. Like I like Gino's pie, but where's your favorite place to get a nice Chicago pie?
Okay, there's two here. So the first one is, I feel like if you actually live in Chicago, no one really eats the deep dish. It's more of like a touristy thing. But if people were to come in town, Pequod's is by far the best. They do a little burnt cheese around the crust, which is incredible. So deep dish them. If you need thin crust, there's a place called Boiler Room that has. They not only is the pizza fantastic, they have a deal called the PB&J, and you get a slice of pizza, a tall boy of PBR, and a shot of Jameson.
What?
And before I moved, I think it was $8 for all of that. So it is awesome.
That sounds awesome.
I love that you mentioned Boiler Room.
Have you been there?
That makes me very happy.
Oh, nice.
So one of my best friends was living in Chicago. He lives in LA now, but he lived there for years, and he was like, anytime anybody came into town to visit him, he would take him to Boiler Room. So,
dude,
so shout out to Boiler Room. Ask for it by name.
They're awesome. And soft serve Jameson ice cream, which is ridiculously good. So make sure you get that for dessert.
That sounds super good.
yeah.
So, but I miss the hot dogs more than I miss the pizza. Finding a Chicago dog is impossible. In Seattle, they put cream cheese and fried onions on theirs here, and I'm like, no, I can't do that. Sorry.
You're like, what is this?
What is this garbage? So, okay. I got one more Chicago question for you. So I had a friend in the 90s who lived in Chicago, and he swore that one day he was bar hopping and he found a little person bar. Like it was a bar for little people that only little people could, like it was, obviously anyone could go to it, but it was like a shorter bar with shorter tables, and it was all little people. Have you ever heard of this place, or was you think he was tripping?
I have not.
Okay.
I would think I've gone to like so many random bars. I might have been too drunk. Maybe I stumbled in there one night, but I have never, not to my knowledge. I don't know of this bar. Okay. I'm intrigued. I have to go look into this.
We'll have to find. So people from Chicago, please let us know if you've been to the Little People Bar and if it's still open, because next time I'm in town, I'm going.
Holy,
like,
sounds like a fun time.
It was like everything was small except the drinks, and like that was like its claim to fame. And I don't know. He may have been making the shit up, but he said he was dead serious. So I don't know.
I lived there for 18 until I was 32, and I have never heard of that.
Well,
so,
are you yourself a little person? Maybe it's a secret. You got to be little to get in. I don't know.
I'm pretty compact, but I wouldn't consider myself a little person. But no, I've not heard of this.
All right. Well, we'll get to the bottom of this one day. So.
I feel like I need to hang up. After I hang up, I need to call my friends that are still out there and be like, get to the bottom of this stat. We need to know.
Yeah, if you find anything out, please call Jim.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please, call me back.
As soon as you find out.
And then, we'll do an episode live on site in the Little People Bar, and it'll be a great
That would
old
be
time.
incredible. Yes.
So, Chris, where can people find you on the interwebs or in real life? Where can people say hey to you and check out what you're doing?
I have a tag as Hipster Coma. I can be found on Instagram, on Twitter, LinkedIn. You can just look me up, Chris Albright. I'm on there as well. That's the main spots for me. Otherwise, I'm usually at shows and stuff like that. So if you're in the Seattle area, I'll probably run into you. So
Nice.
It just depends.
And then what's that URL again for auditioning, for artists to audition their music?
Yeah, so it's artists with an S .audiosocket.com.
Very cool. Well, Chris Albright, you are the greatest man we've ever spoken to, and we appreciate your time and your information. And we're going to find that Little Person Bar, and we're all going to have a pint together one day.
We'll meet in Chicago.
We'll meet you
That
in
would
Chicago.
be amazing. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure and an honor. Thanks so much for interviewing me, man. This was fun.
Good. Well, I'm sure we'll talk to you again in the near future. We got some new music coming out, so we'll be throwing it your way and harassing you about it. So
Don't forget those instrumentals.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, our new thing is we're going to be releasing new music as close to every month as we can, writing and
Really?
recording
That's awesome.
constantly. So hopefully we'll get you'll get like the first listen, and then we'll be off to the races. But
I would love that stuff. I mean, your stuff is so good for. I mean, there's a lot of like ATV work that I do with and then also boat stuff like Mastercraft.
Yeah.
So always need more of that stuff. So
That's
shoot it over
awesome.
when you got it, man. I will throw it to those people's way.
shit, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you so much, Chris. You have yourself.
of course.
I guess it's afternoon over in Seattle. It's evening where we're at, but you have yourself a merry little Wednesday, sir.
You guys have a great night. I'm glad that the future is great there on the East Coast. So things are good.
Great. All right. Talk to you later, man.
Take it easy, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye.
All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Idiots with Instruments. Idiots with Instruments is a free listener-supported show, and if you want to do something awesome for us, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. Or, hey, you know what they could do, Doug? They could share the show on social media with the hashtag Idiots with Instruments. What do you think of that?
That's great.
Or you could be super awesome and become a patron of the show. We have a bunch of great rewards set up for as low as $1, and you can help steer the future of the show for all eternity. Did you know that, Anders? You could just head over to idiotswithinstruments.com and click the reward that tickles your fancy.
Is that $1 a month?
$1 a month.
That
And you
sounds
can-
very reasonable.
It is extremely reasonable.
$12 a year?
Our goal here is not only to entertain, but to also share insight into the insane world of the music industry.
Yep.
We hope you enjoy it, and we'll see you next time. As always, I'm Jim Tremontana saying, keep it simple.
I'm Doug. Stay hydrated.
I'm Andres. Never play acoustic.
Lay it on thick. Bye.
Bye.
Idiots with Instruments is a Solid Arts and Science production. All rights reserved throughout the multiverse. Please subscribe and review the show on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Visit idiotswithinstruments.com for exclusive bonus material and to support or sponsor this show.
Awesome.